reboot. Melhor do que nunca.
Da submersão dos ecos à exumação dos sons, o crepúsculo dos deuses.
Boa noite, emissão do Crepúsculo Dos Deuses número 561. Emissão de hoje dedicada inteiramente ao Royal Family de Pur, incluindo também entrevista com Mike Keane, líder deste agrupamento. Lá iremos daqui a pouco. Estivemos com o tema We Love the Moon, retirado da coletânea da Third Mind de 86, Fall from the Madding Crowd. E continuamos no segundo tema, retirado desta mesma coletânea, Dog Star.
Reach up to sorry heaven, or healed with
Vamos então à entrevista. Dear Mike, thank you for replying to my offer. Here goes the first question. Is it possible to tell me a bit about your musical life before forming Royal Family and the Poor? Did you have any previous project?
The Royal Family and the Poor was originally formed in 1978 with myself and one or two of the friends at the time. In between phases from around 1981 to 1983, I went under the name of the Legend Agency and did a tour of England with China Crisis just after they'd signed to Virgin Records, and then before and during that period I also did a series of performances and concerts under the name of the project, supporting people like Juriti Column, Cabaret Voltaire, a few other bands, but apart from the Royal Family and the Poor, I went different times under the name of the Legend Agency and the project.
Which was the first release under the name Royal Family and the Poor?
The first release by the Royal Family and the Poor was a factory quartet, which was a double album at the time featuring Juriti Column, Blurt, Kevin Hewick and the Royal Family and the Poor, which was number one in the independent charts in England for 9 weeks.
The first label you signed to was Factory. Why this particular label and why did you quit?
We ended up going with Factory Records because they asked us to after we'd sent a tape to them, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. Eventually the relationship went on and off, not very happily, from 1978 up until 1983, when Factory Records contacted me again and asked me whether or not I would like to do some LPs for Factory Records. So from the end of 1983 to the end of 1985, I did the project phase 1, which was Fact 95, and then I did the project phase 2, which was the Wheel of the Moon LP and the 7-inch single. And the reason that I eventually decided to quit Factory was basically because the manager of Factory, Tony Wilson, had led me to believe that there would be some financial support of some description at some stage, which was never actually forthcoming. And because I got increasingly frustrated at having to produce LPs under very, very restricted circumstances, in most cases I was actually recording LPs on very low budgets, having to do them in very short periods of time, and getting very little financial assistance from Factory at all, and very little assistance in terms of promotion, which seemed to be really unfair, considering that the project phase 1 had a 5-star review in Sounds, and I was getting well received all over Britain when I was doing concerts and so on. Eventually I come to the conclusion that I could probably continue to make LPs for Factory Records for the next 10 years without ever really seeing any financial support. Although I don't actually have any interests in making money, I do have interests in making money so that I can expand my activities and do more interesting things.
Passion inside, where
Is it possible to explain me what's behind Royal Family and the Poor and Gaia Communications? I think it is something related to Aleister Crowley.
Gaia Communications is primarily set up as a vehicle for my creative outlet, for the Royal Family and the Poor's creative outlet. But I have every intention of releasing other music by other bands as soon as it is actually financially permissible for me to do so. At the present moment, Gaia Communications runs on an increasing amount of debt, and until such a time as I can succeed in generating enough finances to make Gaia Communications a viable proposition, it is not possible for me at the present time to be able to actually sign up bands or even think of signing up bands seriously, unless they're prepared to comply with the situation and the circumstances. Gaia Communications is really only just begun. It's been going for 15 months now. I've just procured a loan and built Gaia Communications 8-track studio, where I'm recording a couple of new projects to be released. The compilation LP that I was planning to release has had to be cancelled due to the lack of funds and also lack of enthusiasm of most of the bands that were actually invited to contribute to it. I'd spent the last 14 months putting all of my time and energy into trying to make that project work, and in the end it failed because of the complacency of the people involved, which has really made me make a decision that from now on, first and foremost, I must concentrate on my own work and try and achieve some degree of financial stability for Gaia Communications through my own work. Well, Gaia Communications is only really related to Aleister Crowley in the sense that I admire his work and that he was a very great genius, which few people seem to realise. What is actually behind Gaia Communications? Well, Gaia is the name of the goddess. It is also a name of a scientific idea and theory which conclusively proves that the earth that we live on has a consciousness of its own. In other words, this is a magical idea. If you look into some of the leading discoveries of science of late, you find that there really is not much difference between the most up-to-date modern scientific discoveries and the ancient mysteries as taught by traditions such as magic, the Kabbalah, various forms of Eastern Tantra, and so on. The only thing that's really behind Gaia Communications is basically the proof that that one can rise above and up and out of situations and circumstances that at the time may seem impossible to us. I try to live by example, and I try to communicate through Gaia Communications ideas related to magic and related to applying yourself to the noble art of self-discovery and self-exploration, to untap the hidden potential within each and every individual, in order to enhance people's lives and make them feel better, and also to question many of the things that we all take for granted. It's really quite impossible for me to sum up in a few words what Gaia Communications is about, other than life, love liberty and light. There's more to the universe, and there's more to life in general than we will probably ever know. It's only the most courageous of human beings that really tries to find out for themselves by direct experience. The only other thing I can say is that Gaia Communications makes its statements through its products, through its magazines, through its newsletters, through its poetry, through its artwork, and through its music, which is all primarily produced by myself.
In some of your records, Simon Crabb, Jeff and Peter Christopherson are included in the lineup. How did that happen?
Yeah, as well, Simon Crabb from Portuguese Cork is a very, very good friend of mine. We're very close, and we were both very eager to work together. How that actually come about was in 1986, after I'd left Factory Records. I did a live LP on Recluse Organisation, and subsequently there was a very good relationship developed between me and Simon Crabb. We did some concerts in Europe together. We did a concert in Belgium as Bourbonese Quark, me and him, constructing a large metallic construction in the club. And generally, when it come to making the first new LP on Gaia Communications, of course, he was invited to work with me on it as a good friend. As for Coil, no, Coil, I've never worked with Coil. I had a friendship with Coil for a while when they were considering contributing to the compilation, which they decided not to do, in the end, so that never come about. The credits on the 12-inch single sleeve were a thanks to various individuals and friends who had helped me out at the time. It wasn't a case of all of those people had actually been on the record.
The LP in the COV is very heterogeneous, and your last release, the 12-inch Restrained in a Moment, is completely different from all the previous records. A sudden change in your music?
I don't know what heterogeneous means, if that's the correct pronunciation. A sudden change in my music. Well, as far as I know, every phase of the project tries to be literally a completely different exploration of ideas that are actually related to whatever experiences I happen to be undergoing at the time. It's an attempt to quite sincerely communicate those experiences to other people, in the belief that they actually comply in some way with everyone else's experiences, because I do believe that we're all governed by the same forces and the same powers inherent in nature, and that we do all undergo to different degrees very similar experiences around the same times in history. So, as far as a change in my music goes, I try to keep it as changeable as possible. Most groups tend to have one particular sound, and when you listen to their records they always sound the same. The Royal Family in Nepal attempts to be almost so different on every release that it's difficult to believe that it's the same group.
Is there any reason to number each record you do? I mean, project 1, 2, 3, etc. Is each project different from its predecessor?
Yes, well, as I said before, with the project, each phase of the project is a different expression of time, place and circumstance. So each phase of the project is literally a new phase. Is usually instigated by a new phase in Gaia Communications magical activity, in the royal family in Nepal's magical activity, which goes through different phases every year. I mean, I think we would all agree that every year is very, very different and very strange. At least if we're susceptible and receptive to these things, then I think everyone would agree that each year is unique. And so each phase of the project is literally a new phase, a new expression. All of the ideas, all of the inspiration, and all of the vision and work that goes into each phase of the project helps make it uniquely what it is.
Shadows of ice and memories to hold against your nuts that feel so cold. Shine bright with splendor. You are born dance with the light and death and look like to be free. Instigate the passion and release of all your fears, and do it slowly, all the knots of your sacred years, like a child endowed with all the dreams that you can hold, removing broken barriers from doing what you're told.
Cerca de 7 minutos depois das 23 e continuam ainda a sintonizar o FM Estéreo da Ruta em 100.7. Este é o Crepúsculo dos Deuses na sua emissão número 561, emissão essa dedicada inteiramente ao Royal Family in the Poor, Entrevista, ainda a decorrer. Aproveitamos também para chamar a vossa atenção para o dia da manhã, mais uma entrevista aqui no Crepúsculo dos Deuses com Richard Ranou, chefe da editora francesa Permis de Construire. Os temas do Royal Family in the Poor passados até agora foram Wheel of the Moon e Dog Star, incluídos na coletânea da Third Mind de 86, Fall from the Madding Crowd. Visions do LP de 86 também, Wheel of the Moon, ainda no mesmo LP Sex Goddess. Passando para o ano de 87, In the Sea of E, LP, tema Living Light. Mais uma dose dupla para o LP Wheel of the Moon, White Stains e Living Room Alchemy. Mr. Crow de In the Sea of E. E neste momento, outra vez em Wheel of the Moon, é Transparent. Vamos então voltar à entrevista. What about tracks in compilations? Do you have any?
Yes, compilation LPs. Well, I did 2 tracks for a Third Mind compilation called Four from the Madding Crowd. That was a mix of Wheel of the Moon from the Factory 7-inch picture disc single and a track recorded specially for them called Dog Star. I've had 2 tracks on the Recluse Organisation compilation LP. I've had 1 track on the Imminent series that's put out by Food Records. That's Imminent 4. I have a track coming out on Dr. Death Volume 3 in America, as well as a special edition of In the Sea of E that's being released in America through Cest Lamort Records, which includes the 3 tracks off the 12-inch single, plus Wheel of the Moon and 1 or 2 other additional tracks. That should also be out on release in America on CD in January next year. I've had a few tracks on various cassette compilations, 1 in Europe, 1 on Recluse Organisation, and a couple on some small cassette labels in America. That's about it as far as I can think.
Did you ever do any live performance, or are you going to do any in the near future?
Well, as far as live performances go, up until now, the Royal Family and the Poor have toured and played quite extensively in the UK, and done a few sporadic concerts in Europe, mostly in Germany and Holland. But at the moment, we don't plan to do any more concerts until we've prepared our new live performance. What we're actually doing is, at the moment, we're working on a collection of new songs for the next new LP, which is going to be, well, we're not sure yet. It's either going to be titled Night Side of Eden or The Savage Garden. We haven't decided yet, but that's going to be an LP which is very much orientated towards classical music. We have a girl, Annie, and a string quartet who used to play with the Style Council and the Communards and a couple of other bands who are going to be playing with us. And we don't plan to do any concerts at all until spring 1989, when we will be coming out and hopefully doing a whole series of dates. We want to try and arrange a tour of Europe, a tour of America, and as many concerts as possible in 1989, more than we've ever done before.
What about future plans concerning records?
Yes, well, as I say, as far as plans concerning records are concerned, as you can probably see from our catalogue, we are planning the Night Side of Eden Savage Garden LP. I'm also going to work on with the Royal Family and the Poor, are also going to work on a very unusual dance orientated album, which we hope to release in the summer of '89. And we're also releasing a series of cassettes. One is a cassette of some of Aleister Crowley's best poetry recited by Mike Keane, put to music. There's another cassette called Landscapes, which we're going to produce, which are 4 pieces of music which are based around the 4 times of the day: dawn, noon, sunset and midnight. And also we will be working on a new album to be released through Cest Lamort in America sometime in 1989. So all in all, for 1989 we have about 3 new albums planned and a series of cassettes, as well as a lot of live concerts, hopefully, depending on whether or not we can actually find venues who are prepared to put us on and pay us correct amounts of money, because for the last 4 or 5 years we've played virtually for nothing consistently, and now that we have a record label to run, obviously we have to consider the idea of actually being able to generate finances in order to keep the label functioning, because if Gaia Communications fails, then the royal family in Nepal can no longer exist.
For the moment, I can't think of any more questions. If you think I forgot something of vital importance, just say what it is.
I'm going to read an article that I've recently written for a local music paper concerning ideas behind Gaia Communications. The article is called Magic and Music. The revolutionary spirit the world over has always had for its guiding light and inspiration the underground expressions of its culture in music, song, theatre, poetry, its philosophies and its science. When all these forces unite with the people and are recognised as being from the people themselves, then we have the basis for authentic revolution. This idea has always struck fear into the minds of every God-fearing Catholic and anyone else who believes that radical change is the work of the devil. What fucking devil? These people are full of them. That's why they're so scared. Sensuality, true sensuality, not rampant rapist sexuality, but sensuality in its most beautiful and poetic sense, and of course in its physical manifestation, which, contrary to popular religious belief, is not separate from spirit, is the key to our wholeness, whereby we may eventually achieve a truly magical perspective. As in all magical philosophy, it is only when we unite the imagination with existence that we achieve vision. And let's make no bones about it, in this secretly restrictive society in which we live, masquerading as a free country, anyone with such a perspective still gets the brunt of people's fears. Like Wilhelm Reich, the philosopher, who upon lecturing to his colleagues on the valuable researches he did into sexual behaviour and its inherent power to heal and vitalise the mind and body, realised that the whole Victorian audience of medical teachers and doctors were listening to him in total horror, because they themselves had never confronted and faced up to their own physical sensuality and its secrets. Each and every one of us is a potential genius. Consider the fact that we ourselves contain all the mysteries of the universe within each cell of our bodies and encoded into our very own DNA molecules. Life can be an unfoldment of our inherent capabilities. It can be an ever-unfolding path of self-discovery. And every dream can be fulfilled when we recognize that the primal in us has a very creative use, instead of splitting ourselves apart by non-acceptance and fear of fear itself. There is an occult phrase often used in meditation in conjunction with rhythmical breathing in order to harmonize the being with the forces of the universe, which says, "Immutable rhythm is manifest everywhere." That is what is so appealing about most dance music and any rhythm itself. Just think about it for a second. Magic is everywhere. People who lose the magic in their lives either do so because they fail to find themselves worthy of it. As for Aleister Crowley, well, before you go ranting on about black magic and what a wicked and naughty man he was, try finding out for yourself what he was really all about. It's interesting to note that out of the 5 material elements, namely earth, fire, water, air, and ether. Only 2 elements in creation can transcend the more earthbound 4 elements of fire, air, water, and earth, and reach up and out into the lofty and dizzy heights of the undefinable element called ether, which in the formula of the pentagram in magic is called spirit. Those 2 elements which can exist in ether are called light and sound. Here is the Oxford English Dictionary's definition of the words. Sound, healthy, not diseased or rotten, a sound mind in a sound body, undisturbed, vibrations causing sensation of sound, mental impression caused by frequency. Spirit, spiritus, to breathe together, the animating or vital principle, the animating spirit of rebellion. Sensual, of sense and sensation, given to the pursuit of pleasure, voluptuous, the sensual nature. Light, the natural agent that stimulates the sense of sight, electromagnetic radiation from the sun, fire, lamp, the appearance of brightness, illumination, countenance made visible, life, festival of light, new discoveries, a flame or a spark, etc., etc. Do you understand? So, apart from these things being valuable occult ideas with which to experiment and work with, seeing how they are founded on the very principles which make up our existence, they are also scientifically proven facts of reality. Magic is the power which vitalizes and unites all these elements and qualities in ourselves. Music, produced in this spirit, combines all these elements into physical manifestation. That it can only bring down the idiocy of ignorance and refusal to participate in the search for beauty, love, liberty, and sensuality, and all the other multifaceted qualities of human existence, is the only threat that magic and music makes. Why are people so scared of this sort of freedom? It's an ancient story. Check out the Gnostic literature on the subject if you can be bothered. As far as I'm concerned, too many people criticize magic simply because they fear what they do not understand, and the churches are run by jealous and selfish gods. The goddess magical cults have never done this. That's why they were so brutally destroyed by the Christians in early biblical times and later on by the Vatican during the Renaissance period. I don't think anyone can seriously deny the capacity of music, more than any other creative medium, to effect changes in our consciousness and give us glimpses of the potential that we have inside us. It is the most universal and widely accepted means of inspiration the human race has ever had, and can reveal to us the mighty waves of energy below the surface of our little tower we call me. It is the aim of Gaia Communications and the Royal Family and the Poor to strive to produce music which is fueled by this inner strength and magic, by expressing sounds, ideas and words that unify all the raging torrents of my own human struggle and the practical aspirations that lend their authenticity to the Royal Family and the Poor. We don't want a lie. We want the naked truth to shine through our work with all the power that we can muster to give to you and complete the circle. From a very human and magical perspective, it is ruthless and pointless insanity to deny ourselves these precious jewels that life has given us for such a short period of time. Life is far too potentially wonderful for it to be any other way for us. That's why Gaia Records exists, because it has to. Every atom and cell of our physical bodies make a corresponding sound. The very motion of our own DNA molecules speak intertwining patterns of sound and light, could we but hear and see them within ourselves, what music we might make then. So if music has this inbuilt capacity to resonate deep within us on all levels, then maybe we should stop thinking of magic the way we have been taught to, as an evil devil-worshipping cult, as is the wont of stupid newspapers, and start to take it a bit more to heart. Needless to say, there are plenty of idiots who get into magic for all the wrong reasons. And of course, all those staunchly opposed to it, all those who secretly love the thrill of making up the disgusting stories in the tabloid press about magic, it is they who are the perverts, like the ones who read the child molesting and rapist stories in the newspapers with secret glee. Anyway, I'm sure every intelligent person out there can make up their own minds about this issue. You can hear the spirit behind any good music. It rings bells in you, does it not? For centuries, music empowered by the heart has been employed in ritual and culture. Its occult properties and powers are without question, and it is our belief that every musician should look to these ideas for inspiration in the course of their work. If they were honest enough to admit it, they do anyway. Unfortunately, many bands don't even see what is staring them in the face. That music in any form should inspire and exalt the consciousness.
Truly there is no I, only wanting to be loved, lost in tides of love and lust, torn between the light and dark, they pull and draw away your heart. Must we rejoice in our own tears, pulling back the veil of a million years?
E pronto, é tudo por hoje. Espero que tenham percebido tudo, ou pelo menos tido a paciência de escutarem toda a entrevista. Ficam aqui as despedidas de Paulo Somsen, Fred Somsen e Eugénio Teófilo. E não se esqueçam, amanhã a entrevista com Richard Fanou, chefe da Permis de Construire. A fechar fica Behind the Veil, 12 polegadas de 88, Restrained in a Moment. Boa noite e até amanhã. E ainda a voz de Mike Keane.
After all, if you're going to go and effect change in the minds of an audience, then the least you can do is try to give something of real value and participation in a glorious celebration of energy, vitality and shared experience. Good old rock and roll at least has that going for it in terms of energy. More so at least than a lot of the deliberately smug and pretentious crud that exploits our innocent ears and pockets these days. Gaia Communications is an attempt, through all obstacles and difficulties and opposition, to produce and facilitate music which is a genuine expression of real and potent magical music, because without the conscious recognition and participation in the beauty to be found in all aspects of consciousness and its sincere expression via the medium of music and all the arts, the world could only be a darker and more unhappier place. We rest our case. End of transmission. The project, Phase 5, 21st of the 10th, 1988. By order of the AA.
Crepúsculo dos Deuses.
And this is a burning hell. And look at that!
Christopher Richardson, age 11. He vanished while playing near his home June 9th and is still missing. LaTanya Wilson, age 7, kidnapped from her home June 22nd. Anthony Carter, age 9, found stabbed to death July 7th. And Early Terrell, age 11, last seen on July 30th, still missing.
I still do not understand for the life of me.
We are born and we die, and that's it. There's nothing else. Nothing. I'm optimistic about nothing.
Jones, age 13, became
I'm just born with that kind of optimistic nature.